As a child, I always liked school, and my mother was an educator, so I grew up with her as a model of a teacher. And then as a young adult, I worked a lot in elementary schools, tutoring, leading a Girl Scout troop, and I just really enjoyed working with children and felt that that was sort of where my passion was, and so pursued that as a job. In terms of early education, I never expected to work with the youngest learners. I thought I would be more with elementary age children, but my first job was actually with 2-year-olds, and I really fell in love with early childhood education. And it's a very exciting time to work with young children because everything is new and exciting to them, and they're figuring out the world, and every new discovery is really exciting. And so that's really fun to be a teacher of kids that age. I think the red light mystery was a really exciting project, and in the ELC we follow an emergent curriculum, so whatever the children end up being really interested in, the teachers reflect on that and turn that into different experiences and projects. And with the red light mystery, one day during rest time there was this mysterious red light on the wall, and the children were fascinated by it and wondered where it came from and what caused it. And so we had a class discussion where the children generated theories about where this mysterious red light could be coming from. And this led to a several-week-long investigation where they came up with different theories, did some research to try to prove or disprove the theories. So one of the theories was that it was reflecting off a child's red shirt. So one day all the children came in wearing red shirts and stood in front of the wall to see what would happen. Another theory was that it was reflecting off a car in the parking lot. So small groups of children surveyed the entire faculty to find out if anyone had a red car that could have possibly caused this. And then when we found 3 red cars, those teachers parked their cars across from the ELC, and miraculously during rest time the red light showed up again. So we think it was the cars. In the ELC, we have a play-based approach and a project-based approach. So there's a lot of choice in the ELC. Children can interact with a wide variety of materials, whether that's building materials or art materials or materials for dramatic play. And the teachers are paying really close attention to their play to see what themes are coming up, what questions the children are asking, what we think the children are trying to work on and figure out, whether it's some sort of social group dynamic thing that they're working on, some sort of scientific question, and then we're able to sort of encourage and foster projects based on that. So for example, last year there were 2 special chairs in our classroom, and the children had to figure out how we could fairly give turns in these chairs. And they decided that at a group meeting, when we discussed this, they decided we should make a list. And someone wondered, well, how are we going to figure out what order the list is in? And one child said, well, it should be an alphabetical list. Many of the children didn't know what that word was, so we had to figure out, well, what's alphabetical? And the children's cubbies are in alphabetical order, so we talked about how it's the order of the first letter of their names. And then one child wondered, well, what happens if we don't have a name for the next letter in the order? And someone else said, well, maybe there's a name for that letter in the other class. So we decided we should survey that class, find out their names. So what started as a small sort of social conflict about how to take turns in a particular chair ended up turning into a month-long project in which we ended up surveying the entire campus about their names and graphed each grade level to find which was the most popular letter to start a name by each grade. And so it really led into a deep investigation. I choose to teach that way because it really meets children where they are. Young children are so naturally curious that anything really is a learning experience for them. And if you're supporting them in what they're interested in and just providing experiences and helping them dig and delve deeper, when they're invested in it, they're really going to learn a lot more and be motivated to learn and be excited about it. And that, I think, is when the deepest learning happens. I think PBS has a really fabulous faculty. Everyone is clearly really dedicated to their craft and works really hard to develop themselves as educators and work together with each other. And I have felt really supported as an educator at PBS, both in terms of my own development and the development of my team. I've been able to attend workshops and conferences, both as an individual and with my team, and that experience of a whole teaching team having a learning experience together is really powerful. Not only does it help us connect with each other and get to know each other better, but then we're able to bring that back to the classroom. Well, I think both in questioning and in setting up the environment, we want to provoke children to think. So a yes or no question is not going to really provoke their thinking very much. Asking a why or a how or a what do you think question makes them reflect on their learning. And I think that's something that's important for us, both as teachers and for us to encourage in our students, is reflection, thinking about what we're doing and what we're thinking. And again, I think that then leads to deeper learning. I think PBS is unique because it is really focused on young children and their education, and it's a community that really supports young children. So because we are a school that only goes up to 5th grade, we're really able to focus on the developing child. And there's a lot of growth that happens between preschool and 5th grade in this really lovely, loving, supportive environment where children are encouraged to take risks and make mistakes in a place that is really safe for them to do that. And I think PBS kids come away feeling really empowered as learners. They feel like they've been able to make choices in their learning and have teachers who have really supported their growth. In the ELC, there's a lot of communication with parents. For some families, this is their first real school experience. Other families have been to different programs before, but the children are still really little, and so we want to keep a lot of dialogue going with parents. We trust parents as the people who know their children best, and so we want to look to parents as the experts of their children while sharing our expertise about what we know about how children learn and develop. So I would say there's a lot of casual communication between teachers and parents, one-on-one communication either at the beginning of the day or the end of the day, as well as several sort of larger check-in points throughout the year, conferences and back-to-school nights and things like that, where we're able to share a little bit more about philosophy and approach and what we think might be best for a child based on their developmental needs.